good morning, or should I say good afternoon. Thank you for joining People's Power and Light as we approach the start of our webinar, 3 Ways to Reduce Your Carbon Footprint. I am going to give others a couple more minutes to join us, so I will keep the rest on mute who are on the call while we get started. I'll be back shortly. All right, it's 12:02 p.m., so we'll go ahead and get started. So welcome to our webinar, 3 Ways to Reduce Your Carbon Footprint. So my name is Priscilla De La Cruz. I am the Marketing and Membership Director with People's Power and Light. Today, what I hope to accomplish and review with you are what are your clean energy options. We'll dive into energy efficiency measures. We'll talk a little bit about solar. We'll spend most of our time talking about green power, and we'll spend some amount of our time talking about electric vehicles. So there I am. For those of you that don't know me, I am Priscilla. Some webinar logistics to start. Everyone is muted to avoid background noise. Please do send your questions via the chat function that I am pointing to here via our GoToMeeting. If we don't answer immediately, is because we're going to cover the topic that relates to your question in later slides, and at the end we do have a allocated time for Q&A. Afterwards, if you have any questions or for any reason are having difficulties with the webinar tools, just please shoot me an email. I will send an email post-webinar just recapping some of the things we covered today. All right, so who we are as People's Power and Light. We are a local nonprofit founded back in 2002. We merged with Mass Energy Consumers Alliance in 2006. So we're one and the same. In Rhode Island, we're known as People's Power and Light, and in Massachusetts as Mass Energy. We are a pro-consumer and pro-environment organization. Our membership across both states is something around $20,000. I have 20,000 members these days. And what we do, what we focus on doing is harnessing the buying power of consumers across Rhode Island and Massachusetts to really accelerate our transition to a low carbon future. And we do that in many ways with the help of our 20,000 members. We run green power programs, which we'll talk about today. We advocate for solar, and we really try to make the process of going solar or doing energy efficiency as seamless as possible. We did start off with a discount heating oil service buyers group, and in Massachusetts that comprises a good chunk of our membership. But what that helps us do is to really encourage our discount heating oil members to tap into more energy efficiency and solar opportunities. And of course, we advocate on their behalf for more energy efficiency. And that's most of the advocacy work that we do revolves around energy efficiency, but we're also advocating for more effective renewable energy policy, anything that really leads to reducing our greenhouse gas emissions. So that is who we are. Throughout the presentation, you'll learn a little bit more about the work that we do in each of these areas: green power, solar, electric vehicles, energy efficiency, and so on, but you'll also learn a little bit more about our partnership with Audubon. So here are our affiliations. We are, as I mentioned, our People's Power and Light, also known as PP&L. And I will take a minute to just pause here. Just want to go ahead and make sure that I recap on some of the webinar logistics as folks are joining us. So we do have our participants here on mute. And we will address questions towards the end of the presentation. But throughout the presentation, if you have any questions, please do feel free to write them out in the chat, and we will address your questions as soon as possible. So People's Power and Light. So we're members of the New England Clean Energy Council. The council represents solar developers and groups that have either energy customers or some sort of energy membership. And we also are affiliated with the Environment Council of Rhode Island as well. The council represents over 60 environmental organizations, and together we advocate for better policies around climate change and the environment and energy. We're also members of the Energize Rhode Island Coalition, working to put a price on carbon. And here in this photo, you see our executive director. This is at one of our recent tours where we had an electric vehicle showcase. So we'll talk a little bit more about electric vehicles later on in the presentation. All right, so we'll start off with talking about energy efficiency. So really the cheapest energy that we have is the energy that we do not use. So energy efficiency is one of the most effective things that you can do to reduce your carbon footprint. And really some of the basics around things that you can do today, you can change out your old light bulbs. You can look at adding more insulation, and you can get rid of inefficient appliances. And you can also look at upgrading your thermostats and look at other ways throughout your home where there is any type of waste energy. One of the programs that are available to you as any National Grid customer is a free home energy assessment. So there is a ratepayer funded program called EnergyWise, where you can contact them and schedule a no-cost home energy assessment today. So that is a benefit that is available to you, and if you have not yet utilized that benefit, we highly encourage you to do that. So you'll see here the phone number. Don't worry about writing that down, but just know that on our website we have all this information for you, ripower.org/energy efficiency. And we talk a little bit more about what goes into your energy efficiency assessment. But here's an overview. As I mentioned, the name of the program is EnergyWise. A professional comes into your home. It's about a 1 to 2 hour visit. And the assessor is there just to really review how you're using your heat and assess where you are wasting energy. And the neat thing after that visit is that you'll really walk away with a comprehensive report about the incentives that are available to you to help you do some of these energy efficiency upgrades. And during the visit, you will actually be upgraded to certain things like LED light bulbs, a programmable thermostat. You'll also get some smart power strips, and they'll look at other things that they can provide to help you save energy even at the time of their visit or post their visit, things like changing your shower heads and so on. So we highly encourage you to sign up for that no-cost home energy assessment. It's available to you. You already pay into that. There's a small surcharge on your electric bill that contributes to these programs. Other actions, of course, that you can do, which you'll learn about also on our website more extensively. You know, you can plant trees for natural insulation and build wind barriers, adjusting your thermostat. It's important when you leave the room or at night when you're asleep or leaving your home. You can go ahead and program it at a lower degree, and that way you're not wasting energy while the space is not being utilized. You can also look at your appliances. Is it time to upgrade? And if it is, look at Energy Star appliances. and we talked a little bit about low flow shower heads. And during my home energy assessment, actually, EnergyWise came out and installed one of those for me at no cost. That was all part of the visit. So highly encourage you to take advantage of that. That's just a very simple way of reducing your carbon footprint and utilizing a service that you already pay into it, and it's available to you at no cost. The neat thing is with that report that I mentioned that the energy assessor will hand over to you, you'll be given the latest incentives and rebates available to help you do more air sealing and insulation. So there are great rebates up there that could pay for about 70 to 75% of that cost for you. So next we'll talk a little bit about solar. So this is our one slide about solar. Just want to point out that this is an option to help you reduce your carbon footprint. Usually as People's Power and Light, we get asked questions, you know, where do I start? We don't do the installation ourselves. In addition to advocating for more effective policies around solar or renewable energy overall, we do like to know what is the latest around solar so we can guide our members over to those resources. So right now, the Office of Energy Resources maintains a list of certified Rhode Island solar installers. We think that is a good starting point. We do have a blog at ripower.org/blog where we talk a little bit about the specific options that you have to go solar, including recent incentives and rebates. Another platform in partnership with National Grid that you can utilize is Energy Sage. Energy Sage makes it really easy for you to compare quotes in your solar options in a very transparent and competitive way. And there's no obligation and no cost just to getting that estimate. So that is also a good place to start. And the neat thing, going back to energy efficiency, if you were to schedule your home energy assessment with the EnergyWise program today, the assessor will actually talk to you about solar while they're there. And they'll give you more information on what this Energy Sage platform is. The other thing that I want to mention is stay tuned for Solar with People's Power and Light. Soon we will be unveiling an ongoing solar resource that we will offer to our members in partner with other stakeholders. So we really do want to also make solar as accessible for everyone in Rhode Island that can go solar and it's a good fit for their home. And there will be another webinar in January, so stay tuned for that. So back to Audubon and People's Power and Light and why we have our partnership. So Audubon and People's Power and Light, also known as PP&L, I'll be using that throughout the presentation. We share common goals and shared philosophies. We know that climate change is one of the #1 crises that we're facing today, and we want to combat climate change. So we know we need to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions 80% by 2050. And as I mentioned, you know, energy efficiency is one way you can do that as an individual. Next, we're going to be talking about green power and why green power or green electricity is essential and one of the next steps that you can take to reduce your carbon footprint. We just talked about solar. Of course, you can make it with your own renewable energy generator, but sometimes there are some barriers to going solar, whether your roof is not facing in the right direction or there are trees that are creating shade. So we want to let you know that green power is another option to consider. So green electricity with Audubon and PP&L. So we started a campaign with Audubon in the recent year, but actually our partnership is a long-standing partnership. Since 2004, we've seen hundreds of referrals from Audubon and PP&L members engaging in our efforts to combat climate change. Currently, right now, we share over 250 active members that are both greening their electricity and supporting the important work that Audubon does to protect wildlife and the environment. And member and partner spotlight here. So Audubon is also a member for their facilities out in Smithfield and Bristol. They're greening their electricity, and we'll talk a little bit about how that works and what it means. So as I mentioned, we have a long-standing partnership with Audubon, other organizations like the Rhode Island chapter of the Sierra Club, Save the Bay, and Clean Water Action were very instrumental in helping us design our green power programs that we're going to dive into in our next slide. So here are the programs that, with the advice of the advisors of the environmental community and partners like Audubon, we were able to create back in 2002 when our organization was funded. New England Wind. So we offer two options to green your electricity. New England Wind is 100% Rhode Island and Massachusetts wind. We are working really hard to make that 100% Rhode Island wind that our members are supporting, and we'll talk a little bit more shortly about what that means. So members pay, in addition to their National Grid charges, 3.8 cents per kilowatt hour based on their usage to green the electricity with 100% wind. On average, for the average home that uses about 500 to 700 kilowatt hours per month, that's about $20 a month added to the bill. With our New England Green Start option, we are greening about 30% of what our members use, or you as an individual. We're greening that at 2.2 cents per kilowatt hour. And that 30% is a mix of wind, small impact hydro. There is at times some digester gas or cow power in there, and some more low impact hydro. So that's part of that 30% there. And recently this price was reduced. The important thing to know about our rates for green power is that they are fixed. They do not change on a monthly variable basis. And when we do make changes like this price drop to 2.2 cents, this has not been done since the start of the program, and we're hoping to be able to do that to even make this option even more affordable. But that would be an additional $14 a month or so on top of your National Grid charges. But the 2.2 cents, unless we're making a price to the program drop, stays the same. So things to keep in mind when considering these green power options is that it's easy. Once you sign up, either through our website, or through National Grid or phone, or whichever way you choose to make the switch to green power, it's on your bill, and you'll see it under the supply section of your bill, and it'll show you the breakdown of your kilowatt hour consumption and the amount you paid for greening. And because we are a nonprofit and you're contributing to the greater good of your community by supporting local renewable energy, the amount you pay extra is actually federally tax deductible. And it's effective because we're driving the demand for more local renewable energy in the state and across New England. So there's more information at ripower.org/Audubon. But we will talk some more now about exactly what it means to green your electricity. So green power, why does People's Power and Light aggregate the consumer buying power around green power? Because we do know that public policy mandates are really important, but voluntary demand, what we can do at an individual aggregate level, also accelerates progress. So our goal is to really displace the amount of fossil fuel that's going onto our electric grid and add more renewable energy so we can really transition to that low carbon future. So really the goal behind our green power programs, the more we can displace fossil fuels, we'll create jobs, we'll stabilize prices, and we'll avoid greenhouse gas emissions. The key, however, though, as we mentioned, that key component in public policy is that we have a renewable energy standard. And what this renewable energy standard does is that it requires suppliers like National Grid to have at least 11.5 of new renewable energy that is really driving the demand for more renewable energy and greening up our grid and creating jobs. It has to be provided in the mix of the electricity they're providing you as a customer. But the key thing to know with this renewable energy standard is that it caps at 38.5% in 2035. And People's Power and Light really ensures and works with other key stakeholders in the community to make sure that policies like the renewable energy standard are as aggressive as possible in meeting our climate goals. So this is known as a compliance market. And when we say new renewable energy, we're talking about wind, solar, digester gas, or landfill gas, etc., that is built after 1997. But what's key about our green power programs is that what our members are doing are in addition to this renewable energy standard. We're part of that voluntary market that is accelerating further growth. So just to put it into context, if we were to go back here and one of our members is doing New England Wind and signs up for 100% for this 100% product, that means that you are doing that on top of what the renewable energy standard mandates National Grid to do, that 11.5% of new renewable energy. So here's just a graph just to illustrate what our emission reduction goals are, what the renewable energy standard is doing for us and helping us get to those emission reduction goals, and what you can do in addition to this. So what's in our green electricity mix? So our members that are greening with our green power options, New England Wind and New England Green Start, this is how they're comparing what they're receiving. So this is the standard mix offered by National Grid. You see here most of the natural gas, imported power, oil, and so on. Tiny pie sections here for wind, solar, large hydro. So this is what the renewable energy standard does. Here you see what our members are doing. This is that 30% option I mentioned, where this is really the new renewable energy that's driving that demand for more aggressive renewable energy development and the greening of our grid, that new low impact hydro, wind, solar, biomass. And then you see here 100% New England Wind. So here are the resources that we're providing, right? With the more members we have, the more renewable energy we can support. And you see here in blue the projects that we're supporting across Rhode Island, Portsmouth Abbey, Tiverton, Providence, newly added solar in Lincoln and Providence, West Kingston, and so on. And we have many other sources that we're supporting across Massachusetts. Our goal is to increase what we're supporting in Rhode Island as much as possible. These are just some beautiful images of the projects we support. Small Pawtucket Hydro in Pawtucket, in the Slater Mill Historic District. This is an image of Sandy Wood's home. Great story behind this project that's managed by Church Community Housing. It is a low-income housing development for artists in the community. And in this community, they also have net zero homes. So it's really a fantastic project. And we also do clean energy tours. We'd like to take our members and the general public up to a turbine or a low impact hydro facility or digester gas facility so they can really understand how these projects work, how they benefit the community, and what they're supporting if they're a member. So just to talk a little bit about People's Power and Light's Way and what we do as a supplier of green power, as a nonprofit. So our goal is to sign long-term contracts for new renewable energy or renewable energy certificates. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that term means with projects that are built here in New England. And as I mentioned, the more members, the more projects, the more difference we can make on that grid. And it really does matter the type and location of new renewable energy that you're supporting, or that REC, renewable energy certificate. So this is just a quote from one of the developers that we've worked with over the years. To justify the development of these turbines, we needed to sign long-term contracts with the town, People's Power and Light, and National Grid. We're excited that this project is happening, and we look forward to doing more. So just quickly, what is a REC? We have more information on our blog, again, ripower.org/blog, just talking a little bit more about the nitty-gritty behind renewable energy markets and how renewable energy certificates work and why the type that you buy does matter. But really what a REC does, it represents 1 megawatt-hour of physical renewable energy electrons, and is tagged with a unique identifier number just to ensure that we're tracking what's being produced from, for example, this particular turbine that you see here on the screen. And as that turbine is spinning, 1 megawatt-hour of wind is produced and 1 renewable energy certificate is generated. And then the 1 hour the 1 megawatt hour of physical electricity is going into the home. So you see how that 1 megawatt hour of wind that was produced is split into the certificate, the tangible component, and the electrons going into the home. Of course, we can't track exactly what electrons are coming from a fossil fuel plant or what's coming from a renewable energy project, which is why these renewable energy certificates are so important, because they can help us distinguish where these electrons are coming from. So you see here the turbine is spinning, that 1 megawatt hour and renewable energy certificate is generated. There is a whole system behind the process that is really tracking to ensure that there is no double counting and to track the process of how that renewable energy certificate is generated. But we have another webinar and workshop that really gets into the nitty-gritty of that. But what's key, and we want to show you here, is that that REC is being attributed to that particular home. And that is how that home is utilizing green power when they sign up for our program with Audubon and People's Power and Light. So why green your electricity? As we've mentioned, is really easy. It's on your bill. That's what it takes to make the switch. It's effective. You really are supporting local renewable energy sources, and you're helping to displace the amount of fossil fuel that goes on our New England grid. It's local, as I just mentioned. We really work hard to make sure that we are driving a change in our New England power grid by supporting sources in your communities. And because we're a nonprofit, it is tax deductible because we are a nonprofit. This is a great photo. We have a project in Rentham, Massachusetts, at the Abbey that St. Mary's Abbey that we support. And it's a great project because the nuns at St. Mary's they have geothermal, they have solar, they have wind. So they've not only have really invested in stabilizing their electricity costs and building partnerships with organizations like People's Power and Light, but they're also doing something for their local environment. So it's really a win-win. Now, going back to greening your electricity. So when you switch to green electricity, you're also supporting the Audubon Society of Rhode Island. For every member that signs up, we give back to support the work that the Audubon is doing. And again, that is ripower.org/Audubon. So now I just want to show you briefly a video that students at the Rhode Island School of Design created for us many years ago, but it's still one of our favorite videos that really summarizes what it means to make the switch to local renewable energy. And 1 second here while we pull up that video. So that video does not get old for us. We think it's still a very great illustration of what it means to green the electricity with People's Power and Light and now Audubon. So next, I want to spend a couple minutes just talking about another option to help you reduce your carbon footprint. So it's been about a year since People's Power and Light launched our latest program, Drive Green with People's Power and Light. And what this program does, it allows you to save on an electric vehicle with our discount group. You can sign up for a test drive with any of our participating dealers at ripower.org/drivegreen. This is at no cost or no commitment to you, but we really do want to make it as easy and accessible as possible for you to drive an electric vehicle if that's what you're interested in doing. And we have many different models under that program: Chevy Bolt, Toyota Prius Prime, Nissan Leaf, and many more. And we want the site to really be a resource to you where you can answer some of the questions you have around electric vehicles and tap into existing sources. And we also want to make it easy for you to pair our discounts that we have negotiated through Drive Green with People's Power and Light with the other rebates that are out there and still intact today. There is still a federal incentive available. We will keep you posted if you sign up for our blog or sign up to test drive and compare any of our electric vehicle models. One of the things we're following closely are what will happen when the new tax proposal that Congress is currently reviewing goes into effect. So that is something that could change. So our message there is, if you are thinking about going electric and purchasing an electric vehicle and are currently comparing options, we would encourage you to, do that as soon as possible before tax reform happens. But our program will still be here. But that is if you are considering that $7,500 federal incentive. The state did have a rebate, $2,500 right now. State agencies are working hard to figure out how we can replenish those funds to add back that drive rebate that was once available through the state. But in the meantime, we have Drive Green with People's Power and Light, and you can still get a discount anywhere between a couple $100, $2,000 to at times even $9,000. Our deals change and vary every month. We work closely with our dealers, but all the pricing and all the details are on our website. So I mentioned that there are other resources at ripower.org/drivegreen, charging, information about charging stations and charging maps and what are the benefits to driving an electric vehicle. And just recapping on what we just looked at in previous slides, the greener the electric grid works and you're plugging in to charge your electric vehicle at night when there's lower demand for electricity off-peak hours, there are greater environmental benefits to driving an electric vehicle. And it's also a fact that you will be spending less on maintenance because there is no motor to maintain. So there are many benefits to driving green. And of course, we don't want to forget the benefits of carpooling, biking, and using public transportation whenever you can. Around our advocacy efforts, we're also making sure that we can green up and electrify our public transportation as well. That's really important in helping us meet our climate reduction goals and making sure that we all benefit from green electricity. So just to recap on some action steps. So energy efficiency, sign up for a no-cost energy assessment, upgrade to LEDs, and look for Energy Star appliances. Again, more information on our website. Solar, start talking to a local developer. Go to the Office of Energy Resources website to see who some of these certified installers are. Visit the Energy Stage platform. And again, there's more to come. We'll be doing a future webinar talking about our new option, Solar with People's Power and Light. Green electricity. Don't forget that Audubon and People's Power and Light are working hard to increase the number of green power members that we have so we can support more local renewable energy. If you want to compare what it would cost to green your electricity usage and what amount would be federally tax deductible, we actually have a green calculator on our website. And you can get there by going to ripower.org/green. And also, as we mentioned, we are pro-consumer for environment advocacy organization, so you can actually follow the advocacy work that we're doing. And to sign up and make the switch today, that's ripower.org/Audubon. Audubon and People's Power and Light, we're also going to be working on hosting a series of other webinars and workshops in the coming few months. So this page /Audubon is a very good way of staying abreast on what's coming up. And not to forget, the bonus, Drive Green with People's Power and Light. You can lease or buy an electric vehicle, and you can utilize our discount program to do that. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining us. We will wait a couple minutes to see if there are any questions. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, I will be available via email, priscilla@ripower.org, to answer any of your questions. We will share a copy of this presentation, and we hope that you would utilize some of the resources that Audubon and People's Power and Light have made available to you to help you reduce your carbon footprint. And stay tuned for more. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.